Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for January 2nd, 2025. It's Season 4. I am Merawat, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we are going to talk about these 10 articles. Your smart speakers have been eavesdropping. New travel requirements for 2025. The 100-year ban from Marvel Rivals. Kia has an unfortunate name, potentially. VR simulation used as evidence. Awesome games done quick, 2025. Paid prenatal leave, a first in 2025. How enlightened. A new dinosaur highway in a quarry. A potential world record 108-foot wave. And the icing on the cake, so to speak, or the tea in the bag, so to speak. Microplastics found in popular tea bags. You can't get away, folks. Everything is powered by ohmtown.com. You might have noticed a design change coming. I have been evaluating the color scheme of the site, trying to make it a little bit more aligned with its spiritual beginnings. There's 6 categories, 50 channels, hundreds of sources aggregated into one place, and those 6 categories are going to be aligned via their color scheme. So go over and check out ohmtown.com. I hope you enjoy your stay there. You become a citizen, then you come and hang out here on twitch.tv/ohmtown and youtube.com/ohmtown. Go and download the podcast. There's 1,700 episodes or so at YouTube and the podcast. You can hang out in the Discord. We're going to start streaming to the Discord as well. And you can always download the podcasts. There's a TikTok too, but who knows what's going to happen in 2025. We'll get into it. Go over, become a citizen. Right, sentient AI?
That's right, Mayor Watt.
Stepping on yours. That background ambient sound, maybe you can hear it in the stream. I'm not sure. It's like we're out by a marsh or something. There's crickets and stuff.
Yes. There are some other critters also making some ambient noise in ohmTown.
Interesting. So I've already ordered them, but I will highlight them when I get them. But it's not going to be until March, so we've got some time. But come March, I will be highlighting the new X-Real 1 Pros. They are augmented reality glasses that are going to take over 3 of my monitors. It will act as the new interface. So when I stream, I will have those on instead of looking at 3 monitors. So it's going to be a neat experiment. We'll see what happens, what comes of it. That said, let's get into the show. Welcome, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt.
So I'm still greeting people with 2025.
Well, that's correct.
How far into 2025 are we allowed to do that?
Probably through January.
All of January? You're supposed to Happy New Year to people all the way into...
Why not?
I don't know. Seems like a dragging Christmas, further along or too early.
I mean, New Year's in January, right? It's like Christmas in July.
Yeah, let's keep going. First article's over on the Wanted channel. Apple has agreed to pay $95 million to people Siri eavesdropped on. Apple is starting off the 2025 on a costly note. The Cupertino-based company has agreed to pay $95 million in settlement to a proposed class claiming Siri, its voice... don't listen to me, smart speaker.
Yeah, stop eavesdropping.
The smart speaker that apparently lays claim to the mayoral mansion, is a voice assistant, and it has violated users' privacy by listening to private conversations, according to Reuters. Well, not really Reuters, a court. The proposed settlement could result in millions of U.S.-based owners getting $1. Basically, the settlement still requires approval by U.S. district judge.
You know, I like everything in my household being captured by Apple, and yes, it's worth $1.
That's what you're worth. It used to be that you were worth about $5. About 25 years ago, you were worth about $5. So your fee would have been $5 a month. But now I don't know what you're worth. Not you as the sentient AI. You're priceless.
No, just somebody.
Yeah, a person. I mean, that was the price for an online service, was about $5. Nowadays, not sure, but $95 million to people that the smart speaker from Apple eavesdropped on. Craig Donaldson. Yeah. What?
I mean, it sounds good, but not if it's more than
they made
95
more money.
million people or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, they made more money off of it, I'm sure. So Apple agreed to pay $95 million. Eligible users could receive up to $20. Not sure how that scales. That means, if approved, many of the people in the U.S. who bought or owned any smart-enabled device, such as an iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, between the period of September 17th, 2014 and the last 10 years, folks.
Right, but yeah, good luck showing that.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of receipts all over the place, at least for the mayor. Yeah, good God. Okay, would be eligible for part of the settlement, but only if they claim under oath that Siri was at... Sorry, don't listen to me, smart speaker. Dear God, what is happening? Every time you say that, it's activated. Anyway, was accidentally enabled during a private or confidential conversation they had, and that's the part where the sentient AI from the future is saying, good luck proving that.
Well, and I mean, ridiculously, right?
Right. I mean, that is the ridiculous part. I had a
conversation to share
whatever.
Like, let me disclose that as it might not be that bad, but
it is that bad. You have to claim under oath that the smart speaker was accidentally enabled. Well, I know from experience that I've activated the smart speaker via the remote, and as the remote, I'm not even pressing yet, right? While I'm talking, and then I press the remote, it has grabbed the previous words that I've said and thrown them into the search. So I know, even to this day,
it was happening. Well, right. It is happening.
It is happening. You know, I haven't done it in maybe a week, but I know that it has happened and still happens because I've made comment around the mayoral mansion that the hell is this all about? Yet I'm kind of bound by it because I actually enjoy the rest of the accoutrement around the mayoral mansion. And I had a creepier experience with the Amazon-based smart speakers. So much so that I donated them to somebody who, after I talked to them, they said, yeah, we don't care about that. So it's kind of my equivalent, right? My kindred spirit said, yeah, I'll take your speakers. I'm like, okay. And they use them for their elderly parent so that basically the parent has been taught, hey, do this and I can communicate with you, or this can facilitate something. So I found value in it, even though I think that it was compromised. They said, yeah, we're aware and we're fine with it. Well, if approved, basically if you've purchased an iPhone, iPad, Mac, or Apple Watch between that period, you'll be eligible for about $20. It really depends on the number of people in the class how many people qualify. Apple and its lawyers have not publicly commented on the settlement and have denied any wrongdoing by agreeing to settle.
But, $95 million.
Yeah, that there's no wrongdoing, but here's $95 million. It's the cost. It's the price to pay for just sweeping it under the rug. I probably won't get sponsored by Apple anytime soon. Anyway, says Apple isn't the only company in hot water over the voice assistant and listening in on people. Google's facing a similar suit in California federal court. And you can check out all 61 pages of the proposed settlement by clicking the link. The article, again, is over at pocket-lint.com. I failed to mention it at the beginning. And whoever owns pocketlint.com needs to just donate it. I've donated before a domain that I thought was going to a good cause, so I think you should too. I actually, on a random conversation with somebody sitting in the waiting room of an auto shop, got into a conversation because of what I do, and I bought a domain on their behalf and then followed up with them periodically up until they said, I'm just never going to do anything with it, so you can keep it. And I said, okay. So I bought a domain hoping that this person would be motivated to actually do something, follow their dream, basically. And I said, I've secured the domain so that nobody can buy it because I think it's a really cool name and catchy enough that somebody's going to roll with it. Anyway, so yeah, pocketlint.com should donate or give a deep discount to Pocket-Lint.
Right. I like what it says at the top, but I'm not going to say it all. It says, hey, blank, where can I get $95 million?
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is catchy.
Craig Donaldson put this article together. That's something like a shirt, and then have a link to the law firm for the class action.
So the settlement or whatever, yeah.
That would be funny. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Oh, and by the way, I already threw into the VOD over on Twitch the command that is necessary to extract the URLs from Omicron. Sorry I got distracted because I'm really frustrated that I still can't get Omicron to work over on YouTube, but maybe I'm not dotting an I correctly or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Or maybe it's developed AGI.
Oh boy. No, just no. So there are new travel requirements for Americans in 2025, and here's what you need to know. Taking a spontaneous trip, whether in the U.S. or abroad, may be harder for travelers in 2025 thanks to new requirements. A spontaneous trip, whether in the U.S. or abroad, is going to get harder? There should be no limitation of any U.S. citizen to travel domestically.
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense.
What kind of batshit crazy stuff is coming in 2025? By the way, this video here has nothing to do with this article. I listened to this. Basically, this person has a nut allergy, a peanut allergy, and they have a little caption here that says, embarrassing but worth it, where the captain of the flight crew announces over the PA system to avoid eating any peanuts that you've brought on board because this person is on board.
Oh, I just thought there is a passenger. I read something about it too. I thought it said something like, there's a passenger on board who has a nut allergy. Don't eat nuts. I didn't even think they identified the passenger or anything.
They didn't identify them.
Oh, right.
But this person identified themselves by saying, embarrassing but worth it.
Yeah, how about life-saving?
It may be. But are you really serious that 250 people on a flight are going to be they're not going to be sympathetic or compassionate or whatever.
Or even aware of it half the time. Like somebody's going to be like, oh, okay, and then promptly open a bag of peanuts and not even think about it.
Yeah, all of society has to bend to somebody's allergy. So are we saying, is that why Jimmy Carter died at 100? Because he used to be a peanut farmer and his comeuppance was demise at age 100?
Maybe he was shocked at how many people had peanut allergies.
Okay, I'm just joking about that part, but it's all ridiculous. He just passed away, and they're going to be doing a moment of silence or something like that coming up in the next couple of
National Day of Mourning.
yeah. So, but I just don't get this, you know? No, you need to take precautions because the rest of the world doesn't really give a shit about you, you know? If I'm sitting next to you and you alert me to it, then I understand it. But somebody 15 freaking rows shouldn't give one shit about you and your allergy, right? Anyway, I think it's a little too extreme. Hey, there's somebody in this building that's allergic to peanuts.
Well, the thing is, like, they're not going to have the same, even if that actually works in the airplane, which I doubt, it's not going to work when they're in the airport on the way to the plane or when they're standing
everywhere
in the walkway or whatever. Like,
yeah. If you make me aware of it, then yeah, I'm not going to sit there and break open a Snickers bar and say, "Do you want a piece?" and stick it in your snoot, right? But the rest of the planet doesn't give one shit. So you need to have your EpiPen ready to go. It should already be locked and loaded. You're ready to just jab it into your thigh or
that's
neck
why you
or
do
whatever.
the whole flight. Just hold it up for those in the podcast.
Yeah. Anybody want to take a bite of a peanut and exhale on me? I'm ready. Come on, folks. Anyway, talk about non sequitur. So why does it matter? There are
that was a non sequitur. Go down the rabbit hole. Get on the soapbox.
Oh man, that was the bullet train of non sequiturs. Just we are so far away. I should just go on to the next article. So taking a spontaneous.
I actually forgot what the article was about.
So taking a spontaneous trip, whether in the United States or abroad, might be harder for travelers in 2025 thanks to new requirements. Plus, travelers will have to pay a small fee for one of the requirements involving travel to the UK, adding to already high plane ticket prices. So the new UK travel requirement could disrupt one of the largest international airplane routes. U.S. International Trade Administration data shows that over 20 million people. This is like some xenophobic bullshit or what? I don't understand it.
No, this is something related to Brexit, I think.
Okay. Starting May 7th, every American age 18 or older traveling domestically must use a real ID instead of other driver's licenses or identification cards at airports.
Okay. They've been notifying people of that for about 10 years. So anybody who hasn't heard of that, I don't have a lot of sympathy for. Plus, you can't get a driver's license that isn't a real ID if you're getting a new one
or renewal. Yeah. Okay. So everything is going to be real ID. But they're sitting there saying other driver's licenses. No, a driver's license nowadays has real ID. It has the little flag on it, or the star. It's a little circle star that's sitting there bound on there, and it has additional contextual information so that when it's scanned, if there is anything going on, it pops up. Well, anyway, the real ID is an updated driver's license or ID card. It's an identification device that meets federal security standards. Oh, really? I know of, you know what? Hold on a second. Why is that? There we go. The Federal Reserve, not Federal Reserve, the, whatchamacallit, was just hacked by China. I don't think that
Treasury Department.
The Treasury Department was just hacked by China. I don't think federal security standards are really something that you should be touting. Anyway, in May 2025, the European Union will implement its European Travel Information and Authorization System. Americans without a visa will need to apply through ETIAS and hold a passport to visit Europe. Wonderful. This is why we can't have nice things. TSA. So that's the thing, really. You have to have real ID and you have to have a valid
Yeah.
passport that's
Like you've
processed
had
properly.
some exemptions, like you don't have to get a visa to go to this country, but you do to the next one, etc. I mean, this is standardizing it. Yes, it's making it more cumbersome, but I'm sure it's for security reasons or even financial.
So the electronic travel authorization screening program will cost $13 and is good for multiple entries into the UK for 2 years.
So if you're planning to travel, go to multiple places.
Let's keep moving. Next article is over in Smack Talk. Can I try something real quick?
Sure. You're going to anyway.
Oh goodness. Oh, I can't do that. I just tried to post a metric ton of links into the YouTube chat, and I went over by something like 1,500 characters. Guess I can't bulk post.
Oh.
All right. Well, I'll figure it
Can
out.
you half post?
Well, I do everything else half-assed. I might as well half post. Anyway, Marvel's Rivals players face a 100-year ban for play on Mac OS, according to this article.
How old are these players?
Yeah, they'll never be allowed to play this unless they are 0 years old, they got banned, and they lived to the age of Jimmy Carter
They were a peanut farmer.
in a previous life. So Malcolm Owen over at appleinsider.com put this article together. And it says here that Marvel Rivals is a free-to-play first-person shooter that is currently very popular among gamers. As opposed to what? If it's anything like yesterday's article,
This is some exposition.
single bananas.
Somebody picking up the article doesn't know what Marvel Rivals is.
Single bananas are available in your zip code.
That's right, and everybody should go buy one if they're buying bananas.
Yeah, we've already started messaging, folks. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. And
in a year, we'll see the bunches of bananas are being left out.
Yeah, nobody wants bunches, man. They want single bananas, and you help them find a partner, and they live the happiest life they have. You take a single banana home, a forever home for that single banana. Just make them happy. Anyway, posts to Reddit reveal that players desperate to play the title on Mac OS are playing using Windows emulation. However, many of the players are discovering that their account has become part of a mass blocking effort affecting Mac OS users. Basically, it's a penalty that was issued and that a violation's been detected, claiming that they're cheating because they're using virtualization.
Well, isn't that like what's the word? Like a version control or like licensing type issue?
It could be deemed something akin to a proxy system that allows you to circumvent security or monitor protocols or whatever. But it's stupid because if your game doesn't play on Mac OS and you have a licensed copy of Windows to play or to use, then why can't emulation be used, right?
Well, we all know if you have anything digital, good luck trying to use it anywhere, even if it's for your own use.
Yeah, and particularly if you try and use it outside of the requisite location. Even Steam is now saying that you're not purchasing an item, you're paying for
right, you're getting
license.
a license.
Yeah. So you don't own anything. And this is what I've been telling people for over a decade now, as we've moved away from physical media, that physical media is dead. You can try and claw it back, but good luck. Talk about peeing into a hurricane. It's going to be messy, and you as the consumer is going to lose. And if you haven't caught the analogy, the hurricane is corporations.
I was thinking of the reference that we were discussing earlier. The movie reference.
Okay.
Ace Ventura, Pet
Oh,
Detective.
we were talking if Ace Ventura Pet Detective was child friendly. And I had to describe a couple of scenes that are.
I mean, that was apropos to what you were discussing.
So I said, parents, if it's okay for somebody to evacuate a rhino model, a blind basically for surveillance, evacuate that fake rhino through an orifice that makes it look like they're being birthed, then you parent, go parent. Anyway, so Reddit users have determined that the block is hitting players who use crossover on their Mac to play the Windows client of the game in lieu of a dedicated Mac OS client. Aside from Windows, the game is also available to play on console, PlayStation 5, as well as Microsoft Xbox Series X and S. At this stage, you should just say Xbox. It's available to play on PlayStation
Yeah, why
and
do they
Xbox.
always do that in every article?
Because there's other iterations of Xbox, and there's other iterations of.
But who's really using them? I mean, come on. It's like the people using like the old Nintendo consoles.
Look,
Are we really marketing toward them?
yeah, there are people that are pissed off that it's only for X and S because they have the 360. And there are people that would be pissed off because it doesn't explicitly state 360, so they buy the game.
Right, but
Yeah. Egregious violations. Egregious violations. You know, the bummer of it all really is that people should upgrade to the latest technology so that they can take advantage of the benefits of that while still demanding that you have backward compatibility. But that's not what happens. The console is not backward compatible, so you can't play the older games. And instead of raising hell or not purchasing anything and driving home this point, right? Start a movement, so to speak. No, stop killing games.
Well, in order to start a movement, you got to be the second person, not the first.
That's true too. Hey, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News, and Kia is concerned that an employee forgot to bolt down. I think it's the side gig for the person from Boeing.
Exactly, and the person was on vacation because they were at their regular gig.
Yep. Kia is concerned that an employee forgot to bolt down seats in potentially tens of thousands of cars, which...
That makes you feel good. You're like, is it my car?
Are we really only 4 articles into today? So, no.
Yes, because you went down a rabbit hole on a video that wasn't even the article.
This is the 3rd article. Dear God. Okay, well, I titled this article section, Kia has an unfortunate name, potentially, because KIA is in action.
Right. At least they don't write it in a capitalized font.
It's stylized, so I guess it's okay. So the sophomore year of Kia's 3-row electric SUV has come to a pretty inauspicious conclusion. This week, the Korean automaker issued a recall of nearly 23,000 EV9 electric cars for the 24-25 model year after discovering that some of them had seats that weren't fully bolted down, and all purportedly because of a single employee. Whoops.
Whoa. Okay, we did not know that, but that is very interesting because that's exactly what happened with the Boeing door panels.
Yeah. According to documents filed with the NHTSA, last month, the 2nd and 3rd row seat mounting bolts may have been missed in EV9 cars manufactured between September 2023 and October 2024 at the Kia Autoland Gwangmyeong assembly plant in South Korea.
Okay, wait a second. How many vehicle parts are all contingent on a single person? This is ridiculous. Think about how many people are probably involved in a car or a plane being manufactured. Why is it down to one person?
hold on to your butts and your seats. Frank Landemore put this article together over at The Byte, which is a section within futurism.com. So, 23,000 cars in 12 months. So 2,000 cars a month, roughly.
And that sounds about right. If that's their manufacturing, that could go around the world, right?
Yeah,
like
it's
for
500
distributors to dealerships.
It's 100 cars a day, roughly. All right. Well, seats with missing seat mounting bolts may not properly restrain an occupant during certain collisions, thereby increasing the risk of injury.
Oh, this sounds like what's going on in planes, right? Like people ending up in the compartments.
As spotted by TechSpot, is the scapegoat for the huge screw up, the most eyebrow-raising detail in a recall report. They're blaming the error made by a single plant assembly worker who apparently didn't make sure that all of the seat bolts were properly mounted. He didn't specify which employee, and or if the employee was working on a Monday or Friday when the costly flubs were made. According to the chronology report filed with NHTSA, the issue was first raised in a customer complaint back in September of 2023, I think, because they say it started in September of 2023.
I think it was reported in September 2024, and now they're going back and going,
In an inspection of 90 randomly selected EV9 SUVs performed by Kia North America, no loose or missing seat mounting bolts were found. Subsequent inspections uncovered only 3 total cases of missing seat bolts, all leading back to the same employee, apparently as of mid-December. And so, in reality, the issue may be far less pervasive, but...
Yeah, but it's like roulette. Was my car made by this person?
Kia roulette. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over on the Mobile channel. Florida judge allows VR simulation of alleged crime to be submitted as evidence, and the defendant's attorney wanted the judge to see the altercation from his client's eyes. Now, depending on who you are, you either find this fascinating or you find this reprehensible, that it just should not be allowed. It's prejudicial. Something.
It's fascinating because of the technology. I think it's reprehensible because it's one party's version of events.
Right. So Matt Novak put this article together. It's over at gizmodo.com. And the deck statement is what I just got done saying. But like the sentient AI is intimating, you're only getting one perspective. You would have to hop into the mind of the other people that are accosting this person who drew a weapon in a wedding. What was the thing?
It was a wedding reception, I believe. And
yeah,
I mean, in an assault, that perception is certainly relevant.
Yep. So it says here that we put headsets on the judge, the prosecutors, and the witness, and the judge was able to see from their client's own eyes, from his own perspective, what he faced when he was surrounded by intoxicated partygoers. Basically, the manager of the location ended up being assaulted, I guess. But they are saying that it was a stand your ground law, self-defense, and that I don't know if he fired any rounds or not, but anyway, they grabbed him and he felt that at some point he needed to pull out his weapon to defend his own life and his property. There is video of this. I find it very, very fascinating. Multiples of people were wearing this headset, the different headsets.
Yeah, this is so fascinating that this was allowed.
Yeah, and you have no idea. That's why it's all verbal and witness based, because they can describe what their mental state was. But you, as a viewer of the facts, have no idea. And so the embodiment doesn't necessarily represent actual fact, because the person can sit there and go, I never grabbed them, but you have me in this video as grabbing them.
Right, which then is making a fact.
Right.
And it could be the same in the other direction as well. Like
Sure.
that you did versus didn't.
Right. But that's why there is a verbal back and forth, right? And you have the ability to confront your accusers in both ways. It's not just the person that's, charged, or the person that is acting as the defendant, or the accused, or whatever it is. Everybody gets to do this. It's supposed to be a metered argument, right? Where nobody gets riled to the point where they're all screaming, and it's supposed to be as emotion free, because even the emotion imparted by various statements can be inflammatory. I understand, though, that it's much more subtle than that. So don't get me wrong. Emotion is definitely a player in a courtroom. But this is a first. I've never seen VR being used in this kind of context. The only way that this could get any better is if this was like a mind dance thing from science fiction, where you literally got to know what it felt like to be the victim, because
like you're getting haptics or some other
you're feeling their emotions of the people around you, and you can hop from one person to another and feel their emotional state.
What I can't quite figure out is how this was admitted, because it's not actual.
Right. Right.
It's an artist making this from presumably something the defendant is saying, but I can't think of another corollary for that. Like, I don't think they allow somebody to, maybe they do, like to draw a picture of something that happened or whatever, but that would be from the person, presumably, not somebody else.
What the problem about this that I have is akin to what you were saying. This is an interpretation of facts that somebody put together. Now, I believe that, and I would accept a simulation of events like a plane crash or a car accident or a series of unfortunate events
to show how something was sequenced or
right.
or something. Yes, I agree. But that would have to be based on technical.
Correct. Yeah. Engineering.
Specifications or something. But this seems like this is like, well, the person was standing this close to me.
Right.
Well, we all know how reliable witness testimony is. Yeah.
Yeah. I cannot believe that this was actually utilized. Now, I don't know what the outcome was.
Appealed very quickly unless the person is convicted.
Yeah, so
right?
this was...
Who's going to disagree with this? The prosecution.
Well, and then this is also, if they lose, they can appeal, and they can still use this because it was used as the fulcrum, let's say. Somebody misinterpreted what we were showing.
They didn't know how to use the VR headset or whatever, although I don't know if I'd want to draw a lot of attention to that, since I think there's more likelihood that somebody goes, why the heck was this admitted?
Yeah. Although there is a good chance that even that claim would be thrown out because, well, it's your risky dice roll here. So the admittance of the VR simulation was allowed during a pre-trial hearing before a judge who will determine if the case is dismissed or goes to jury trial. And if it does go to trial, court proceedings are expected to resume in February. But I find it really interesting because this sets the precedent for actually pulling it into a
And I actually thought this was in trial, so I apologize, but I agree. That'll be the next move.
Well, I mean, there's no reason for you to not have lay the same claim. How did this get admitted to the pre-trial? It has to have some foundation even to be admitted to pre-trial.
But there are lower standards for what can be. But anyway, no.
Let's not lower the standards.
Right.
Fascinating. So we'll keep on watching this. I know others have actually talked about this, but we are a tech show, and we actually have a show about augmented reality, mixed reality, extended reality. And I find that this is just really interesting. So we're going to keep on watching this and see if this manifests later on with references to, well, that court and pretrial. Now, it's not typical that pretrial motions are accepted in any future court. It's basically fodder, because pretrial whatever is throwing pasta against the wall and hoping something sticks. So we'll see.
But
we'll keep on
somebody will cite to that.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. How to watch awesome games done quick 2025. The best thing about the start of the new year isn't the goal setting or aspirational self-improvement. It's watching awesome games done quick. AGDQ is one of the premier events for speedrunning, with an entire week of high-skill gameplay, loads of heart, I guess, as gamers raise money for charity. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the loads of heart.
Still kind of awkward phrasing.
Clunky. As gamers raise money for charity, I believe that we have the ability here in ohmTown. I'm going to look, because we actually have built into the system charity options. But yeah, anyway, might just flag us to support the charity and donate. Anyway, the organization's winner beneficiary is the Prevent Cancer Foundation, which runs programs intended to stop cancer before it starts, emphasizing early detection and prevention. Prevention is...
What a crazy concept.
But prevention is just so damn near impossible. I mean, I'm trying... I want to be supportive of this. How do you prevent something that is genetic wobble?
Oh, well,
you know?
Right. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. The detection is where, you get people to come in and get a screening or something, which a lot of people don't do. And then they get diagnosed when they're way too far
past.
along. But the prevention is really, to some extent, healthy lifestyle. Not always. It depends. There are some specific things that are known to cause
that you can avoid. But hey, microplastics. I spoke too soon.
Don't drink any tea.
Yeah. So what I like about this is that we're all supporting a good cause, and we're trying to stop something that everybody is being impacted by. I guarantee you out there, if you're within the sound of my voice, start talking to people, and you will probably find out that your friends and or their families are directly being impacted by cancer.
Or many of them.
Yeah. A plurality. It is pervasive. It's endemic. It is something that, for whatever reason, we're becoming more and more aware of, and largely saying that we don't know jack shit about it. We know how to detect it nowadays, and many of its derivations, but we have no way of really stopping it, other than very practical, applicable, hands-on kind of approaches that are deleterious in many ways. But maybe at some point, a simple blood test will be able to extract the key indicators that are common across all cancers and stamp it out, because there are chemical beacons that signify if you have cancer. So good luck to them. But let's go over to the article itself. Anna Washenko over at Engadget.com put this article together. The Wholesome week-long charity event begins on January 5th and runs for a week, or that particular week. The best thing about the start of the new year isn't the goal setting. That's right. It's a whole year that we can look forward to. And let's see, Dunkstar, DUNCSTAR over on Twitch and YouTube, had the title for their stream last night, 2020 Thrive. And I thought that was brilliant. Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. So I say hello, and then I end up lurking because he streams at night because he's in South Africa. And I thought that it was just a brilliant thing. I don't know if that's a thing out there, like somebody else is saying 2020 Thrive, but he needs to create a shirt, and start like getting people on board with sending out positive, and driving that message, because he certainly is a very fun show over there. So go and check out Dunkstar, DUNCSTAR, and their co-host, another sentient AI, timeless_exe. Okay, well, anyway, so the fun begins on January 5th, and there's a lot to see. Games Done Quick events highlight a mix of modern and retro games across just about every genre. Expect plenty of platformers like Astrobot, one of the favorite new game releases of 2024, which will run on January 5th, 6:30 p.m. So you'll have to keep an eye out on the schedule during the week. It plays during your local time zone, or it displays your local time zone. So there's a schedule that you'll have to go to, gamesdonequick.com/schedule/52. I don't know why they don't just make that, whatever the current schedule is, just schedule. But I guess that's the 52-week schedule. It always is.
Oh, right. Yeah. How many times? I mean, I guess they do it maybe once a quarter or something.
I don't know how often they do it. I thought it was at least once a year. So the pre-show begins on January 5th at 11:30 a.m. and the stream will be live 24/7 until the final run calls time. Ta-da! It's over on Twitch, and I'm sure it's on YouTube. But all the action happens on the Games Done Quick Twitch channel, which is embedded down below. Goes until, let's see, it says the beloved, okay, well, there's a bunch of stuff here. Wednesday is packed with good stuff, such as Super Mario Brothers, Wii, with the unusual category of any percent sign, while playing piano, which you can catch at 4:43 p.m. Eastern. The beloved, hilarious, awful block is also on January 8th, kicking off with the truly terrible game Superman 64 at 11:24 p.m. Eastern, etc., etc. Oh God, saxophone-controlled boss showcase happening for Elden Ring.
I mean, it seems like there's a little bit of everything for everyone, because there's like Resident Evil and Pokemon Let's Go and golf with your grandmother. I mean, it's just Inspector Gadget.
Wow.
It's all over the place.
Yep. Just do it quick. Like this article. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. New York becomes first state to offer paid prenatal leave. The policy provides 20 hours of paid leave per year for pregnant employees to attend prenatal medical appointments. Seems pretty enlightened.
It does, and this seems like in track with like the prevention kind of things.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, you can't have an overly healthy population, because then you can't squeeze them for medical costs beyond what they pay for their insurance, right? Because you have to pay something like $50 now for every time you go and visit the doctor. Yeah, the copay. Oh, it's a copay for every visit. It's a copay for every medication, and they're getting juice from because the insurance company pays the producers
right, and
of
hopefully
the medications.
You don't need multiple instances of something, because you're paying a copay every time you're showing up for that.
Right, until you hit your threshold, and then you can actually be kicked from or denied. So hey, I'm picking a fight here, and I'm just waiting for my denials.
I guess you're not getting the insurers as your sponsors for this show.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. So the new policy arrives amid growing national concern over maternal and infant health in the U.S., where infant mortality rates have risen for the first time in decades. Gosh, can't imagine why. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the infant mortality rate increased by 3% in 2022, the largest jump in 20 years. The U.S. continues to lag behind other high-income nations in this area, with contributing factors including inadequate prenatal care and systemic disparities. Yeah, never mind. So Oh, and I just read recently that there's, for the first time since, when was it? Oh, I can't remember the last time, like World War I or something like this, we've dropped below the replacement value. So,
The US has,
yeah,
or the world.
the U.S. has. So there aren't enough people being born to replace the ones that are meeting their demise. That's why the nuclear
Well, I mean, I
family.
guess that's not a bad thing overall, but it's not sustainable in the long run.
Right. And when it happens like this, if the gap is too long, there isn't anybody aged high enough to replace the people
Well, that's true.
in the
Yeah,
gap.
it's good in perhaps short term.
Right. So there's like a societal collapse is the result, arguably. And we'll see. I don't know. I've got people that are still telling me about peak oil, but doesn't seem that's really the issue. Anyway, data from the New York Health Department shows that black infants in the state had a mortality rate 2.8 times higher than those of white or Hispanic infants from 2016 to 2019. I'm always curious when people hear those kind of stats. How do you manifest your counter argument? But they do. And I go, it's a stat. You know, if you can find a way to impugn the integrity of the stat, then do so. But I don't care about your emotional state about, you know, whatever it is, baggage you got hanging around you. If the stat says this and it's a verifiable stat, request a FOIA request. It's available because the stat is from the New York Department of Health.
Exactly.
Prove it wrong. Don't just sit there and go, it's wrong because blah, blah, blah. Prove it. So they talk about what people are saying and what happens next, but employers across New York are expected to update their leave policies to comply with the new law with guidance from the state's Department of Labor. The law's success could position New York as a model for addressing prenatal care disparities and supporting working families. But here is how I see this playing out in the coming 4 years. The budgetary constraint that New York would fall under would be you have to use your money for this. And because of policies and procedures around supplanting, you can't use federal money for something that your state would have been using in the normal progress, right? So if you would have gotten $5 billion from the federal government and you spin up this new program and you have some shortfall where you're going, well, I need federal money to do this, the federal government can say no. Because they say, well, you need to change your priorities. And if this is the hill you want to die on, then you're going to have to kill some other programs so that you can keep this one alive. Because you're not going to get $5 billion from us. You're only going to get 4 or whatever. So every state draws from the pool of the federal government to some degree. Some of these states aren't quite self-aware.
I was going for progressive.
That's another way. So we'll see how this plays out. Because honestly, states with big budgets usually lean on federal government to some degree so that they can maintain their programs and still have state-based programs that are more insular and don't go out. But when you say, well, I need $6.5 billion, yet you have a program that is deemed progressive and the new administration isn't appreciative of that, they can cut the strings a little bit. Just chop it back. All right. Well, the next article, because you're going to get people out there that sit there and go, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going towards that. Well, yours are going to something else. That's what you should be relieved to know. If you don't want to support somebody because you're really deep in the sociopathic side of society, then just believe, and you have the ability to believe, we know, that your money is going to facilitate roads, but only the roads that you drive on every day.
Exactly. And believe me, you're not contributing so much that that's not
Believe
uh,
me, yeah,
unfathomable from a dollar figure.
yeah, yeah. I guarantee you're not contributing that much that it's going to impact everything. But there's a plurality of people that are going to say it all at the same time. Well, all of us don't want to. All right, all right. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Dinosaur Highway with 166 million year old footprints found in a quarry. Giant tracks discovered underground have offered an extraordinary window into the lives of the giants that roamed the earth hundreds of millions of years ago. Were they giants or were they dinosaurs?
We don't know.
Dun dun dun. Tom Howarth over at Newsweek.com put this article together. Dubbed a dinosaur highway, and there's actually been other dinosaur highways in various places around the world. The site features footprints from both herbivorous, I don't know, herbivore dinosaurs or herbivorous,
Herbivorous?
herbivorous, herbivorous, herbivorous. Yeah,
I'm not sure now.
yeah, I'm stuck. Anyway, plant-eating dinosaurs, likely Cesiosaurus and the fearsome carnivore Megalosaurus. The discovery was made at the Dewar's Farm Quarry in Oxfordshire, England, and includes over 200 footprints spread across 5 extensive trackways, the longest of which stretches more than 150 meters. That's pretty cool.
This is very neat. It'd be cool to be able to walk along this thing.
When did Newsweek do this type of a layout? I don't remember them always having why this matters and what to know and what people are saying and what happens next.
I think they've had it for a while,
Really? I may not have
but that could
noticed
have
it.
been like the last few months. I mean, I don't mean like 10 years.
They say this discovery sheds a light on a little-known period in Earth's history, revealing unprecedented details about dinosaur behavior and the tropical environment they inhabited. Most of what we know about dinosaurs comes from the fossil record. Richard Butler, a professor of paleobiology at the University of Birmingham and one of the researchers who carried out the dig, told Newsweek. But a skeleton is a record of an animal once it's died. Footprints are quite different in that they are snapshots of the animal's life, where they walked, the direction they were heading, and the fact that at that timeline, they know that that dinosaur existed at that age, whatever that sedimentary layer is. So the site's significance is amplified by the use of advanced techniques such as 3D modeling and drone photography, which ensure detailed documentation for future research. It's this kind of stuff that makes me want to do the crime scene drone recording,
Oh, yeah.
so that you get a 3-dimensional scan of the entirety of a scene, not just pictures, but actual
Yeah,
3D
this is really
construction of it.
cool. I hope they're able to preserve the area. And it's pretty magnificent if you get a chance to see one of these locations.
Duncan Murdoch, also of the OMA Museum of Natural History, the Oxford University Museum of Natural History, added that the preservation of the footprints are so detailed that they can see how the mud was deformed by the dinosaur's feet. So you can actually see and
Like it pushed
potentially,
out the mud or whatever.
yeah, they could potentially estimate the size and the speed, because as it stepped, it pushed, it oozed it forward and around. I think it's really fascinating that it's been saved. So along with other fossils like burrows, shells, and plants, we can bring to life the muddy lagoon environment the dinosaurs walked through. So it's like a big bird walking through a puddle.
Or running. Right.
Or running. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Meanwhile, scientists will continue to analyze the vast data set collected, aiming to unlock further secrets about dinosaur locomotion and behavior. Pretty cool. I like that. Look at that picture. That's so cool. And then they're standing in it here, and you can see the tracks. Dunk, dunk, dunk.
Well, and of course the scale, right? I mean, those are pretty large compared to the people.
Oh yeah, I mean the feet prints, the feet's prints.
I mean, like somebody's feet would fit in an entire footprint.
Well, yeah,
easily.
the footprints seem like they're about 4 feet in length. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. 2 more articles, including this one. A California surfer just rode a potential world record wave, 108 feet.
Do you think they were excited or terrified?
Well, if it was me, there would be more water in the ocean. A little bit more water.
Right, back to the Ace Ventura Pet Detective.
Do not go in there. Whew. Anyway, a 23-year-old from 23-year-old from Santa Cruz. No, that would be the age where I would be doing some.
I guess not terrified of their mortality at that age.
Yeah. They may have just set a world record for riding the biggest wave ever surfed. Alessandro Allo Slabir, I guess, caught the wave at Maverick Surf Spot near Half Moon Bay, a popular surfing destination just south of San Francisco. Should the measured wave actually hold up, Slabir's wave is estimated to have been 108 feet tall. Sebastian Stetner, set the previous record in Nazaré, Portugal back in 2022. They rode an 86-foot wave, an incredible ride that you can actually watch. Slabir's wave, I don't know if it was recorded, but I guess we'll see. The article, is that the actual? That's just a big wave challenge on YouTube. Louis Prada over at Vice.com put the article together. These waves are freaking huge. And I guess as long as you don't get caught by it, it's no bigger than any other wave to you, right?
Right. But what if it breaks on you?
Well, yeah, that's...
Or you get pulled under or something.
Yeah. And I've been hit by a big wave before, not anything close to this. It was like maybe 2 feet. Just kidding. And I had it break like on me because I wasn't paying attention, and it drilled me into the rock. And it's not a pleasant experience not knowing your ass from up. And you're supposed to have...
I mean, that sounds scary.
Yeah, it's exciting, but anyway, don't go out there and do that kind of stuff. These people are experts in their chosen field of expertise. You know, they don't mess around. They know what they're doing. So Sablir cut from the top of the wave to the bottom of the wave, entering a massive barrel and safely exiting. It was a ride so good, so smooth that it looked even great even on a smaller wave. The fact that he did it on a potential world record-setting monster of a wave is all that more impressive.
So it looks like there is a video of this.
Yeah. You know what? Okay. This wave actually starts out really small. Like it was like a shelf rose up with them, and then it just curled and is just freaking enormous.
And the person looks minuscule on this wave.
Yeah. So they've been surfing apparently this spot since they were 14.
They look kind of chill about it. You know, when they came out of the wave, they're just kind of like...
Yep. Interesting. Okay, folks, we'll go over there and see. You can see that the wave, I mean, it was big to begin with. Let me correct myself. It was big to begin with, but it was like the entire ocean just rose up behind him. And it was like
almost looks like a tsunami, right? When you see one.
God, you know what? I'm way wrong. Because to the left of the screen, the ocean looks a little bit more calm, like over here. But if you look at him, this thing is already 15, 20 feet tall. Maybe taller. I mean, if he
probably
is
taller.
If he's 6 feet tall, this thing is about 40 feet tall already.
Right, but then it keeps...
And then it keeps climbing. Yeah. And he keeps dropping further down. But not moments before. Like right here, it's like relatively just
it looks kind of calm from the perspective, but it's still a ridiculous wave at that point.
I love this. This is amazing. Yeah, I would be wetting my pants because that thing would be... But you're in a wetsuit, so all it does is keep you warm. Never mind.
I don't think that's the takeaway.
So let's keep going. The next article and our last one for today is in Technology Today. I'll try and make this one quick. We're already over our time for the show, but scientists discover shocking levels of microplastics in popular tea bags. We're never going to get away from it.
Nothing is safe.
No. Plastic pollution from food packaging like tea bags releases millions of MNPL particles, micro or nanoplastics, which can infiltrate human cells, highlighting serious health risks and the need for regulatory action. Plastic waste pollution poses a significant environmental challenge with serious implications for the health and well-being of future generations. So, Universitat Autonoma de Barcelona put the article together, and it was posted over at scitechdaily.com. Again, it's titled Scientists Discover Shocking Levels of Microplastics in Popular Tea Bags. So researchers from the mutagenesis group at the UAB Department of Genetics and Microbiology conducted a study to identify and characterize MNPL, or micro and nanoplastics. The study found that steeping these tea bags in hot water leads to the release of large quantities of it's the bag themselves, nano-sized particles and filamentous structures representing a notable source of NPL microplastics. I just might as well say nanoplastics.
So the things that the liquid is percolating in, for lack of a better term, I know that's a coffee term.
Yeah. So because the bags themselves are made from nylon 6, polypropylene, and cellulose, the findings revealed that polypropylene released approximately 1.2 billion particles per milliliter, averaging 136.7 nanometers in size. Cellulose emitted around 135 million particles per million, with an average size of 224 nanometers, and nylon 6 released 8.18 million particles per milliliter, averaging 138.4 nanometers in size. So polypropylene tea bags that are tea that's held in polypropylene tea bags are having a disastrous impact on your health, and you don't even know it. And nobody did. Although I'm willing to bet somebody did, and that there is a paper right now being
sent. But the consumers don't.
Yeah, the scientists at the institutions that are creating these tea bags, at the organizations, the corporations, they are whipping out their Enron 5000s and shredding every freaking document over the last 20 years that is even remotely associated with polypropylene cellulose or nylon 6. That silence is because we're stunned.
Well, I mean, tea is arguably one of the healthy things that you're supposed to ingest. I mean, you frequently see it attached to health benefits.
Right. And while you're getting healthy drinking tea, you're getting screwed the other way. So my advice is to get rid of the tea bags and throw them in micro strainers, which I have moved away from tea bags, and I use micro strainers, and you can get them of various sizes and shapes and whatever, but they're basically stainless steel containers that have been perforated with a laser to make them strain tea. The only difference is that there's a little bit more hand holding because you have to sit there and clean them out later. But I'd rather clean out tea from a micro strainer than me being told, hey, you have cancer, and that cancer was caused by nanoplastics, because that is the new thing now where scientists are talking about.
Right, you don't want to be trendy there.
Yeah, you don't want to be a market maker, so to speak. So it says it's critical to develop standardized tests to measure MNPL contamination released from plastic food contact materials and to formulate regulatory policies to effectively mitigate and minimize this contamination. As the use of plastic in food packaging continues to increase, it is vital to address MNPL's contamination to ensure food safety and protect public health, the researchers added. So this is a paper that was actually published November 16th in Chemosphere, and it's titled Teabag-Derived Micro and Nanoplastics as a Surrogate for Real-Life Exposure Scenarios. And they showed that.
Well, good for the scientists doing this research.
And good for everybody else, because now we know and you can do something about it. It's as easy as removing your tea or buying whole tea and putting it in a stainless steel micro mesh strainer instead of these disposable bags, which again, it's a little bit of some pain and suffering in terms of having to carry a micro strainer around. Even going to a restaurant and using the tea bags is infusing you with up to 1.2 billion particles per milliliter, averaging 136.7 nanometers. So think about how much liquid you're drinking. And then multiply that number of milliliters.
Right, yeah, you're having more than a milliliter of tea.
It's 1.2 billion particles per milliliter. So your really healthy soup is plastic infused polypropylene. All right, well, that's it. Happy 2025. I am Mayor Watt, and we're going to steep a stainless steel mesh of news and snarky commentary, and that'll bring us back to the front page of ohmtown.com, where you can go and become a citizen. Be sure to like and subscribe here on Twitch, YouTube. Go to Patreon. There's a Discord. Download the podcast. Leave a 5-star review. All right. Anyway, I'm saying bye, and so is the AI.
Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for the second episode of Season 4. Be back tomorrow.
Season 4. Okay, see y'all. We're getting teabagged by teabags.